Section 1 of A Textbook of Assaying for the Use of Those Connected with Mines by C. and J. J. Beringer. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please contact LibriVox.org. Recording by Peter Yearsley. Preface. The textbook now offered to the public has been prepared to meet the existing want of a practical handy-book for the assayer. To mining men, the word assaying conveys a sufficiently clear meaning, but it is difficult to define. Some writers limit it to the determination of silver and gold, and others imagine that it has only to do with furnace work. These limitations are not recognized in practice. In fact, assaying is becoming wider in its scope, and the distinction between assayers and analysts will in time be difficult to detect. We have endeavoured rather to give what will be of use to the assayer than to cover the ground within the limits of a faulty definition. At first our intention was to supply a description of those substances only which have a commercial value, but on consideration we have added short accounts of the rarer elements, since they are frequently met with and occasionally affect the accuracy of an assay. Under the more important methods we have given the results of a series of experiments showing the effect of varying conditions on the accuracy of the process. Such experiments are often made by assayers, but seldom recorded. Statements like those generally made that this or that substance interferes are insufficient. It is necessary to know under what conditions and to what extent. Students learning any particular process cannot do better than repeat such a series of experiments. By this means they will at the same time acquire the skill necessary for performing an assay, and a confidence in their results based upon work under different conditions. The electrolytic method of copper assaying, given under copper, is a modification of Lacau's. It was introduced by us into the offices of the Rio Tinto Copper Company, and has been in use for many years with success. This modification is now employed in copperworks in Spain, Germany, and England, and is used in place of the dry assay for the commercial valuation of copper ores. We have adhered to the gram and the cc as the units of weight and volume. Those who prefer working with grains and grain measures can use the figures given multiplied by 10. For example, when 1 gram is mentioned, 10 grains should be used, and 10 grain measures take the place of 1 cc. It is not advisable to mix the two systems, as by using gram weights and grain measures. We have intentionally, to a large extent, omitted to mention the names of those who have originated or modified the various processes. The practice of naming a process after its discoverer has developed of late years and is becoming objectionable. It is a graceful thing to name a gas burner after Bunsen, or a condenser after Liebig. But when the practice has developed so far that one is directed to Finkenerize a residue, or to use the Reichert-Meisel-Volney process, it is time to stop. We are indebted to the standard works of Allen, Crookes, Fresenius, Lunge, Mitchell, Percy, and Sutton, and wish to express our sense of special indebtedness to Mr. Richard Smith of the Royal School of Mines. One or two of the illustrations are taken from Mr. Sexton's excellent little book on qualitative analysis. Our obligation to some others is mentioned in the text. Finally, we have to thank for assistance in the experimental work Messrs. Bailey, Beswick, Clark, Grant, Higgins, and Smith. The authors, Camborne, November 1889.